What's up everyone? Today I want to talk about the concept of being lazy. Sometimes we like to think of it as procrastinating, constantly putting off something. And other times it's more like an absence of motivation, a lethargy. It's this apathy about the task, this inability to get up and do it. Whatever it is you define laziness as, what you'll probably do if you're like most people, is you think of it as some sort of character fault inside yourself, a weakness that prevents you from completing tasks. The harsh truth is that laziness is not about a strength, it is about fear. And today I'm going to tell you about why that fear happens and what you can do to overcome it. There are two reasons that you might be lazy about something. One is that you're afraid of it, and two, it's not right for you. If you're avoidant and you feel guilty about being avoidant later on, make the assumption that it's number one, it's fear that's stopping you. At least this way you can move forward in a healthy way. I'd like to start by talking about the procrastination cycle. Now what this is a loop from hell that we get stuck in, and it's made of two things, delay and stacking. Now delaying is a story we tell ourselves that puts off the task even just a short period of time. This is a really common tactic that fear uses on us. We don't literally feel afraid, there's no sensation of terror, no heart beating or palms sweating. It's just this nagging kind of compulsion to put a task off just a little while. Now's not the right time, it's not appropriate, I have to wait for this other thing first, I'm a bit busy right now. These little stories we tell ourselves to put the thing off just a little bit. That's the delay. Stacking is when we build up the size of a task in our minds. It's an imaginary stacking of tasks and pressure and obligation that occurs inside our head, turning what looks like a simple task into a mountain of just overwhelm and frustration and fear. One most common type of stacking is simply to add tasks on top of each other. So for example, I might be procrastinating on starting my own business. And I think, well, I've got to register a thing, then I've got to get a website, then I've got to print business cards, then I've got to go try and find my first client, then I've got to try and find my second client, and I just start stacking all these bricks on top of each other. When you look at this whole stack all at once, it's completely overwhelming because it's impossible. There's too many things to do in one go. And that is another trick that fear plays on you. It stacks tasks until they are impossible. Once the tasks are impossible, then you have another reason to delay. I don't have enough time to do all those millions of business tasks today, so I'm going to have to put it off another day. And here we see the loop. You delay, you come up with more ideas, which creates a stack. The stack takes too long to do, it's too hard to do, so you must delay again. And because you've delayed, more ideas build up, and it starts stacking, delaying, until it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and before long, it's now impossible. Another type of stacking is built in the delay itself. For example, imagine I need to confront somebody on some ugly conflict that we need to have. Well, every day that I put that off actually makes it worse, because now it's longer that I've gone without telling them. I'm going to start imagining like it's even worse now because they're going to know that I put it off for a long time. It also gives me more time to imagine their reaction, so I get to compound and stack the possible consequences. If I do it quickly, it's just, oh, they might be a bit upset. But if I delay it, I've now got more things that happen after they're upset. They'll be upset, then they'll yell at me, then they'll have an emotional breakdown, then I'll have an emotional breakdown, then they'll tell all my friends and ruin my reputation, that'll get me fired from my job, and then my whole life will come crashing down, and I'm going to have to spend the rest of my life living in a cardboard box and smoking meth. That is the stacking of consequences which actually comes from the delay. So you can see this loop, delay, stack, bigger, 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 more and more intimidating, less likely to be completed or even started. It's actually fairly simple to break this pattern. First off, you've got to stop believing the story that you're lazy, which is what your brain does to simplify this delay stacking cycle. It just says you're a lazy person, which is actually an excuse to get you off the hook. You can't expect a lazy person to do something difficult, so now you've got a great justification for continuing to procrastinate. Secondly, you have to see the stack and delay cycle that you're in. See how imaginary this task has become, the Mount Everest that you've created in your mind, when in reality, to do the task, to start this thing, you only have to take a tiny little action that you definitely have enough time to take. Need to start a business? Just make one phone call. Need to confront your friend? Just send them a text saying we need to talk. Need to get started at the gym? Just drop and do 10 push-ups. Getting started is not your problem, because the real task is tiny compared to the imaginary task that you've created in your mind just to get out of doing the tiny task. What you need is a pattern break. You need something that destroys the stack and destroys the delay. And this means it needs to be an action that's small enough that you can do it anywhere, anytime. There's nothing that really prevents you. It's not terrifyingly large. And it also needs to be something that allows you to have acceptance around getting rid of the stack. I had a great example with a client of mine. He's been meaning to set up his music studio so that he can start recording again, but he started imagining all these tracks he's going to design and this new album that he's going to create, and then he's got to do some songs for somebody else, and it just kept stacking in his mind. So what we did is we broke it down like, forget all those songs and all those albums and everything like that. They're done, they're gone. Just set up your studio and make a tiny 30-second piece of music. That's it. After that, you can reevaluate. So that's the key here. Whatever it is that you're stuck on, break it down to its tiniest little piece. The smallest, least terrifying amount of this task that you can possibly handle. Let go of all the other shit that you've made up. Say goodbye to it and just do that tiny task with no obligation to go further than that. Just break the pattern and then start over again. I hope you enjoyed that video. Share it around if you did, and subscribe to the channel. Comment below with your thoughts. And if you're looking for more support in this, if you want to learn how to build courage and motivation, get in touch, dan@brojo.co.nz, and I'll give you some pointers. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourselves a great afternoon, weekend, day, whatever. I'll see you next time.